there's something that I'd like to ask you about, and that is the interview that you did with Tommy Robinson. I did not watch the entire interview. I only watched part of it, but I would like you to talk a little bit about what that was like, and how did that affect how you think people see you? Because what I know about Tommy Robinson is that he still in prison? Is he out of prison
Yeah.
now?
No, he's still in jail. Yeah.
And I don't know when the interview was, but how does one handle something like that? Doing an interview with somebody who then, and could you talk a little bit about that experience?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, obviously, like I've my main post on X as well, that my pinned tweet is basically the fact that it took me a long time to kind of get my head around Tommy Robinson now, like, and to see his work post his Oxford Union kind of presentation that he had done. Because before that, and growing up here in London, I just heard the worst things, obviously coming from a Pakistani background myself. Like, you know, my entire community, family, everybody kind of tarred him with this extremist, racist kind of brush. And I'm not here to defend maybe things that Tommy has done in his past. I know he's not got the perfect kind of rosy picture, but I also don't think that all of the kind of allegations that the mainstream media put against him are necessarily true and accurate. There is a lot of kind of demonizing going on there. So I just decided to do my own research and kind of look into what he was actually saying, especially because I had left the faith that he was commenting on so much, and he was kind of more on the radar, particularly when it came to things like the grooming. I like to call them the grape gang scandal. Sorry, I'll use the word grape so as to not get your YouTube channel demonetized or anything like that, or struck off. But yeah, essentially with the grooming gang scandal, I was out of the country and spent a lot of my youth in the Middle East, and I came back for university, and I had heard that this had, you know, horrific kind of, this had systematically been going on for so long, and the perpetrators were essentially from a very similar background to mine. And I was pretty shocked that nobody was talking about it except for voices like Tommy Robinson. And obviously he hails from a place like Luton, where if you just look at the kind of demographics change, then you can't really argue with the fact that there was kind of almost no mosques when he was young, and then from him just growing up, there was like in so many mosques that had propped up, and effective no-go areas had kind of propped up in Britain, and his own cousin had been a victim of the grooming gangs. So obviously he had a dog in the fight, and I just kind of really intently listened to his Oxford Union speech and thought, is there anything that he's saying that I could fundamentally class as racist or extreme or kind of, you know, bigoted or far right, especially after he broke ties from the EDL. I think that's what prompted me to actually listen to him, because we all know the kind of connotations that groups like the EDL had. And I come from an area in London, without doxing myself, which has very, very strong anti kind of EDL links, where they had a lot of tiffs going on back in the day. So yeah, as you're probably aware,
that's English Defence League.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So
an extreme nationalist organization that Tommy was associated with a couple of decades or more ago.
Yeah, and then he essentially kind of broke ties with them. So like I said, the Oxford Union speech was I guess the straw that broke the camel's back for me, when I thought, you know what, this guy actually speaks the truth when it comes to Islam. And again, that's why I say, like, when it comes to highlighting elements, I'm not saying he was by any means the only person talking about the grooming gangs, but he was definitely one of the few who kind of took this issue more to the streets and kind of, you know, screamed about it, shouted it from the rooftops. And it's only now obviously come back into the limelight again, thanks to bigwigs like Elon Musk tweeting about it. Otherwise, it was kind of happily swiped under the carpet for the longest time now. So yeah, essentially, as you probably know, the UK is going through, I guess, still, like with the Labour Party in power, anybody that's remotely associated with Tommy Robinson or has some kind of affiliation with him is essentially, you know, being, I'd say, for lack of a better word, cancelled in some way, shape, or form. And so, yeah, it does. People just judge you from the outset. Obviously, it does affect things like, I guess, your employment opportunities, and, you know, you just are very much kind of tarred with the same brush as being a far right extremist, just because you say Tommy Robinson, what he says about Islam is also what I say about Islam, which is also what Douglas Murray says about Islam. But Douglas Murray does it with a suit and a blazer. And so people don't really, you know, take it as harshly, which is insane to me, which is absolutely insane to me. Because again, it also highlights the classism within British society.
There is a classist element here. But and also there is a pigeonholing element, because most of us become softer as we get older. And Tommy was a hothead back in the days when he was a big wig in the EDL. And he may not be that same person today. He may be more wise, more realistic about the complications of culture than he was back then, when he was looking for black and white easy solutions, you know, and it's us or them. So I'm prepared to give him an audience, but you're right, there's a class element here, because Douglas Murray says more or less the same things as Tommy says now, although, you know, that's not how he's viewed by the left, who remember him as he was then. But the thing is that Douglas says those things with a more upper class voice, so he is deemed to be more acceptable. And I don't think I should really say this, but I'm hopeful that I've fished and successfully hooked Douglas for our next event at the Tabernacle in Notting Hill on June the 8th. Are you coming?
Oh, fabulous. I mean, I'd love to, yes.
Would you speak?
I would love to. Yeah, I'd be honored to.
Brilliant.
Just down the road from me as well, so makes it a lot easier.
Okay, yeah. So we will have security, so, you know, you can feel safe.
Oh, I mean, sorry to say, Tasha, but this is the state of the country we live in at the minute. But no, thank you, John. I do appreciate that.